Historians talk so much about the royal emperors of the Roman Empire and the famous pharaohs of Egypt. However, in reporting about the past kingdoms, empires, and civilizations, they ignore the Black Pharaohs, who were a formidable force in Africa. They even defeated the rulers of Egypt and the Roman Empire, becoming a well-recognized kingdom in the world. But who were Black Pharaohs only a few historians know about? Where do they live and what kingdoms they ruled? Welcome to a new episode of Black Culture Diary, a channel where we talk about less-known and hidden Black history, culture, arts, and lost civilization. We scrutinize history here to bring the Black culture back on the surface again. In this episode, we will tell you about the Black Pharaohs, the rulers of the great and glorious kingdoms of Kush. Let's get started. Throughout history, the African continent has been a place where powerful empires and peoples fought for control. One of the greatest empires was Egypt, which fiercely protected its rule along the Nile River against various invaders. However, there was a group called the Nubians who managed to challenge the mighty Egyptians. The Nubians were African people who lived in what is now Sudan and had many villages along the Nile by 3100 BCE. Although our knowledge of them mainly comes from Egyptian records, the Nubian region, known as Kush later on, had valuable resources like gold that attracted the Egyptians, leading to constant invasions. The kingdom of Kush, with its changing capitals and rich history, dominated the political and cultural scene in northeastern Africa for over 1,000 years. The ancient Libyan cultures in the region were diverse and served as important trading hubs. During their time of power, the Black Pharaohs from Kush ruled over Egypt. The kingdom of Kush, the most famous civilization to emerge from Libya, had 3 successive kingdoms that controlled Nubia for thousands of years. The capital cities of Kerma, Napata, and Meroe were centers of authority, with Kerma being the most influential between 2450 BCE and 1450 BCE. This kingdom expanded its territory along the Nile Valley, rivaling the strength of Egypt to the north. Despite cultural connections and intermarriages between Egyptian and Kushite royalty, the two civilizations maintained distinct identities. Kushites were often depicted in Egyptian art with darker skin and different hairstyles. While Egyptians preferred chariots, Kushites were skilled horse riders. The headdress of the pharaohs represented both Egypt and Kush. Napata, a capital city influenced by Egyptian culture, saw rulers buried in pyramid-like structures with Egyptian grave goods. As Egypt declined in wealth and prestige during the Third Intermediate Period, Kush flourished. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The first known Kushite king, Alara, united the kingdom and established religious centers in Napata. As Egypt's power declined, its influence over Upper Egypt weakened. During this time, a leader named Kashta quietly arranged for his daughter, Avenirtis, to be appointed as the god's wife of Amun at Thebes. From there, she took control of Thebes and eventually claimed rule over Upper Egypt. Meanwhile, the leaders of Lower Egypt were engaged in their own conflicts. Without raising an army or initiating any conflict, Kashta arrived at Thebes and declared himself the king of all Egypt. This marked the establishment of the 25th dynasty. Kashta was succeeded by his son pave, the later Black Pharaoh. There is no record of how the leaders of Lower Egypt reacted to Kashta's declaration, but they likely objected strongly. Pave, viewing them as rebellious, led his army north, conquering all the cities of Lower Egypt before returning to Napata. He allowed the conquered kings to retain their thrones and continue their rule, as long as they acknowledged him as their lord. Pave did not rule Egypt directly from Thebes and seemed to have given it little attention after his campaign. Pave's brother, Shabaka, succeeded him and continued to reign over Napata. The Egyptian royalty rebelled against Shabaka, but he defeated them while preserving Egyptian culture. Shabaka's younger brother or nephew, Shabitku, succeeded him and initially ruled well until he clashed with the Assyrians. In a battle against the Assyrian king, Taharka, Shabitku emerged victorious, capturing Taharka's family and Kushite and Egyptian nobles. However, Taharka managed to escape and fled to Napata. He was succeeded by Tantamani, who continued to provoke the Assyrians. Tantamani was ultimately defeated by the Assyrian ruler Ashurbanipal, who conquered Egypt in 666 BCE. Tantamani retreated from Thebes to Napata, and later to the southern cultured capital of Meroe. The Assyrians and Egyptians of the late period made efforts to erase the leadership of the 25th dynasty from history by destroying their statues, status, and even their names in historical records. The final period of the Kingdom of Kush is often called the Meroitic period, named after its capital city, Meroe. This period lasted from around 300 BCE to the 4th century BCE. Meroe was strategically located as a port city along the Nile, with trade routes connecting to the Red Sea and the African interior. The most notable features of Meroitic culture are its pyramids, with more pyramids found there than in all of Egypt. Numerous kings, queens, and nobles of Kush were buried in these pyramids. The Nubian kingdom of Kush thrived in Meroe for centuries, developing its own dynastic leaders, religious adaptations influenced by Egyptian religion, and even its own alphabet and language. After the end of the 25th dynasty, with Tantamani as the last ruler, the Assyrians installed a puppet king named Necho I. However, Necho's son, Taharqa I, rebelled against Assyrian rule and established the 26th dynasty of Egypt. Taharqa I and his successor Necho II ruled well, but Necho II's successor, Psamtik II, launched an expedition against Kush. He destroyed towns, temples, monuments, and ultimately the city of Napata. However, Psamtik II grew disinterested in the campaign and returned to Egypt. At this time, around 590 BCE, the capital of the Kingdom of Kush was moved to the safer city of Meroe. For a long time, the priests of Amun held significant power over the Kushite monarchy. They allocated specific reign periods for each king, and when their god signaled that their time was up, the king had to take their own life, and a new king was chosen by the priests. This tradition ended with Arkamani I, who was influenced by Greek philosophy and rejected the control of the superstitious priests. He led a group of men to the temple, slaughtered all the priests, and put an end to their influence over the monarchy. Arkamani I implemented new policies and practices, including a shift away from Egyptian culture. The Meroitic script replaced the hieroglyphic script, although its exact decipherment remains elusive. During his reign, the fashion and customs of the people of Meroe diverged from Egyptian influence, taking on distinctively Meroitic characteristics. The gods of Egypt became assimilated into the Kushite pantheon, with deities like Apetamak gaining prominence. In addition to the tradition of royal burials in Napata, kings were also entombed in abundance at Meroe. One notable innovation during the reign of Arkamanian was the establishment of female monarchs at Meroe. These queens, known as Candaces or Queen Mothers, ruled without male intervention from 284 BCE to 314 CE. One of these queens, Amanirenas, successfully led her people through the Meroitic War against Rome and negotiated favorable terms in the peace treaty with Augustus Caesar. Queen Amanirenas, a prominent black pharaoh, led her forces against the Roman Empire during the Meroitic War. Her army achieved significant victories and even brought back the head of a Roman commander. After this victory, the Mauritian civilization of Kush was mostly left in peace. Kush continued to exist with Meroe as its capital until an invasion by the Axumites in 330 CE, which resulted in the destruction of the city and the decline of the kingdom. However, before this invasion, the overuse of the land and depletion of resources had already taken a toll on Kush, and the cities would likely have been abandoned even without the Axumite invasion. After this event, Meroe and the diminishing kingdom of Kush managed to survive for another 20 years before their ultimate end in 350 CE. Today, in the modern nation of Sudan, the towering pyramids stand as a testament to the ancient city of Meroe. This site, recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, marks the place where the reign of the Black Pharaohs came to an end. These powerful monarchs, known for their Nubian heritage, challenged and even defeated both Egyptian rulers and Roman Empire armies. The Kingdom of Kush, also referred to as Nubia, emerged as a prominent civilization along the Nile River. It had a long history of interaction with Egypt, both through trade and occasional conflicts. As Egypt declined in power during the Third Intermediate Period, the Nubians saw an opportunity to assert their influence. One of the most notable periods of Kushite dominance occurred during the 25th dynasty of Egypt, often referred to as the Nubian or Kushite dynasty. The Black Pharaohs from Kush ruled over Egypt and established their capital at Napata. They successfully fended off Egyptian invasions and even expanded their rule into Egypt, with Napata becoming a center of political and cultural power. The Kushite rulers, such as King Kashta and his successors Pianki and Shabaka, displayed military prowess and diplomatic skills. They not only defended their homeland against Egyptian aggression, but also launched successful campaigns to conquer Egyptian territories. These conquests resulted in the Kushite dynasty ruling over both Kush and Egypt simultaneously. While the kingdom of Kush eventually faced challenges, such as the Aksumite invasion in the 4th century CE, the Black Pharaohs left a lasting legacy. They showcased the strength and resilience of the Nubian people, challenging the dominance of both Egyptian and Roman powers in the region. The achievements of the Black Pharaohs highlight the rich history and contributions of Black civilizations in ancient times. What do you think? Why don't the historians tell us about the glorious kingdom of Kush and its Black Pharaohs? Was it so that people could forget the Black Pharaohs and remember the rulers of Egypt only? Let us know your opinion on the power of Black Pharaohs who could defeat Egypt and even the most powerful armies of the Roman Empire. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.